Hello, children. So, I apologize for not making a video last week, but in my defense, my dad came on Tuesday with all the rest of my stuff, which I still haven't unpacked because then on Wednesday was the only day I went to school because we left for Texas at 8 a.m. on Thursday. And so I was at school from 9:25 until 7:20 on Wednesday to make up for all the school that I was going to miss because I had to make up a physics lab. Anyways, and then we just got back from Texas on Sunday night where it was awful and we really did really badly in soccer and lost both of our games. Because, well, there's a lot of problems. But basically our coach is running a defensive system that just won't work. And I could talk more about it, but I'm sure Gracie and Timon are probably the only ones that care. And I have a better story for you guys. So, my ROTC friends all live in an apartment together. So that's Sean and Brett and Osborne, Swords, and Kai. Vitamin Kai, Asian asshole, yes. So, suddenly, they're becoming these, party animals, because I've been pretty busy, and it's, well, like I said, the lodges are a frat house, so everyone goes and parties, but, I haven't been going out because we have been having practice at 7 a.m. most mornings, so it's not really fun to go out on a Friday night and not drink alcohol because we're not allowed to drink alcohol, and if we're caught drinking alcohol, we will be suspended for half the season, which I don't want to do. And it sounds stupid to say that we could get caught for drinking alcohol, but honestly, if I was at a party, and our team is really strict about it, the upperclassmen are actually really following it to a T because of what happened last year, and if I was at a party and some girl saw me there and then she was talking to some other girl on the soccer team, and the girl at the party was like, oh yeah, I was at this party with Dana and she was totally smashed. Not that anyone is out to tell on me, but I just see that happening and I just don't want to go through it. It's really not worth it. So, long story short, I don't drink this season. But everyone's been going to parties, and I wanted to hang out with the guys because they're my friends, and so all the times I've gone over there on the weekends, they've been going out and drinking, and I'm like, what is happening? Because last year, literally all they did every weekend, every night, was play video games. So they're growing up, and I'm kind of proud of them, actually, because they're being social and meeting people, but I think a lot of that has to do with Swords and Kai. But anyways, so I go there on Monday night, I believe, and they're having a party at their place. And I didn't even know they were having a party because those assholes didn't invite me, rude. And they invited Jennifer, my roommate, Jen. And they didn't invite me, but I'm always invited over there, apparently. I guess. I think so. But anyways, and so me and Jen went over there, and they have a gnome. They had a gnome. We stole the gnome. But the backstory with the gnome, it didn't belong to them. Before I even met Jen, they invited Kai over to a movie night, and Jen and her roommate last year, and she has this garden gnome, and Kai stole it, and it was living in his room for a really long time, since the beginning of freshman year. And then Jen had a thing with Brett, and then for whatever reason, they brought the gnome to the guys' room, and I had no idea about any of this gnome stealing thing. And then once I started to get to know Jen better, because we were going to live together at the end of this semester, she told me, she's like, you should look for the gnome in their room. And so they had this gnome in their bathroom, which was the nastiest place you'll ever be. It's disgusting. It was terrible. Anyway, so they had this gnome, and I didn't want to steal it because I don't really know Jen, blah, 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 and I had more loyalties to those guys. And then, but it was Jen's gnome. So now Jen's my roommate, and they still have the gnome in their new apartment, or had the gnome in their new apartment, and it was on their porch, and I knew where it was. And so then Jen was enacting this plan, which I didn't really realize, to steal the gnome back. So they had this party at their house, and they were super smashed. They were drinking a lot. It was crazy. There was actually, girls there that, it was like a real party. I was so proud of them. And so Jen is like, tonight's the night. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, tonight's the night we're going to steal the gnome. And I was like, oh, shoot. And I didn't really want to because I felt more loyalty to the guys because I knew them longer, but it was Jen's gnome. And then I had this idea that it could be like this epic game of capture the gnome, and like we could capture the gnome from them, and then they would have to retaliate and steal it back from us in some elaborate plan. And it just sounded like a lot of fun to me. So I was like, okay, I'll help her steal the gnome. But I really wasn't going to do that much because I didn't want to piss off the guys, because, you know. And so the gnome was out on the porch, so we were walking around, and I pointed out the gnome to Jen. I was like, there's the gnome, and, you know, trying to be subtle about it because Brett and, like, all those guys were around, and then they realized that Jen was trying to steal the gnome, so then Kai took the gnome into his room and locked his room, so there, I was like, okay, well, it's off now, like, there's no way we're gonna be able to get the gnome, like, sorry, and so then I was just chatting up Waggy, so Waggy is their new friend, new ROTC friend. He doesn't live with them, but he's there a lot, and he's so attractive. And his name is Wagstaff. Connor Wagstaff. And yes, I would like to wag his staff. So I call him Waggy. So anyways, I was just chatting up Waggy, and they were playing beer pong, the guys, and then Jen comes over to me and is like, I have Kai's key. And I was like, what the hell? She's like, so somehow, while he was doing push-ups in beer pong, because ROTC guys, when they play beer pong, they do push-ups. I don't know. And so she had taken his keys out of his back pocket, taken his room key off of his keyring, put his keys back in his pocket, and now had the key. So I was like, okay, well, she's got the key. The least I can do is provide distraction. So I asked these two guys to, like, come over to the corner where Kai's room was and just stand there so that it wouldn't be as noticeable when Jen opened the door and went inside. And so that happened. She was inside, and then Kai realized that she was trying to get in the room, and he was like, what are you doing? And he shoved me out of the way violently, like, very violently. It was rude, and now I do not like Kai. Kai and I are not friends anymore. Because he's been an asshole to me since I got back, and he's just been nothing but rude to me, and then after that, when he was drunk, and it wasn't like a playful shove, like, get out of the way, he, like, shoved me like a guy. You don't do that to a girl. Like, yes, I know I'm Dana, and I'm partly a man anyways, but you don't shove girls. Anyways, so he tries to get into his own room, but Jen's inside, and she locked the door, so she locked herself in his room, and he was trying to get inside. It was great, and he couldn't get in, and he was, like, pissed off at me. He's like, what are you doing in my room? I was like, I don't know. Maybe she had to go to the bathroom. Shit, because here, since we all have our own bathrooms, if you need to go to the bathroom, you have to go to the bathroom in someone's room, which is kind of awkward when you're at a party, but whatever. Not my issue. And so then I'm just like, okay, I don't know what Jen's doing, like, just waiting around. Hopefully she figures it out. And then she comes out of the room and gives Kai his key back, and we leave, and she has the gnome in her purse, and his little hat is sticking out of her purse, and she had tucked her shirt over the gnome's hat so that you couldn't see the gnome at all, and then we left, and they were really mad at me, but I think they got over it. I don't know, I haven't talked to them in a while, but I talked to them on Tuesday morning, and they were kind of mad, like, Kai and Swords were pissed, and, like, Swords was like, I said, I didn't do anything. All I did was I just stood in front of the door, like, stood guard, kind of. I didn't even assist in the key. That was all Jen. All Jen. She's, like, a mastermind. And Swords was like, well, who brought Jen to our party? And I was like, actually, Kai invited Jen, so you can go fuck yourself, Swords. And then that kind of shut him up after that. And then Kai was still just, like, pissing me. But Kai's an asshole, and I think that he just doesn't like me anymore because whatever happened in the spring, and I don't know, he's just weird. So, yeah, that is the story for this week, and I could talk some more, but I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing my voice, and I'm already at 9 minutes, but since I didn't make a video last week, I guess it's allowed. So, I will see you guys later.